Hello and welcome to What's the Fact, the podcast in which good trivia gets rewarded and lies get punished. But will we catch the lies?
I don't know. Hello and welcome. My name's Ryan Whistle. This is Warren Robertson. Welcome to What's the Fact.
Hello, Ryan. How are you doing?
Man, I'm good. And I'm like pumped for this episode.
Yeah, Dietz has given us a comedy goldmine in serial killers.
Serial killers.
You know that rich vein of comedy material that's waiting to be plundered from the deaths of countless women and small children.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all excited. I don't think I'm sleep tonight, but I'm all excited now.
Nice.
No, I mean, when I was thinking about the show, that was like, there's actually so many movies I've seen, and I'm a scaredy pants.
Okay.
But there's so many serial killer type movies that I've seen, and it's like, wow. And
Right.
I always tell myself, never again. But then it draws you. What it is?
Yeah,
What is it about the evil bloodthirstiness that draws you?
You know what I love about this topic of like serial killers and crime and stuff is that across the board, the statistics are in that the people listening to crime and serial killing podcasts are all women. Hello, ladies. So this is likely to really. I don't know what it is about women. They're bloodthirsty, right? And they're bloodthirsty.
I've always known that.
I've
always known
They
that.
just want to know about the death and the murder and stuff. They're lured in by the bad boys.
Do you know what my mom and my sister do?
Sometimes literally. Sorry. How did I miss the sometimes literally lured in by the bad boys joke? I think we need a disclaimer before this one. It's
Maybe.
quite a dark topic, and I think
T's and C's apply.
Yeah. If you the trigger warning, we're going to be making jokes about this stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But like the genre of murder is so popular, and it's never going to die. It's just like, no. My mom and my sister. Do you know what they do?
No.
And they both do it. When they climb into bed, they both have TVs in their room.
Okay.
What channel do you think they like to play as they're dozing off?
I mean, I'm guessing crime, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
you'd be right.
I mean, why? That doesn't make any sense to me. Is that what you want to dream about? Is that what you want to be thinking about?
It's the tone of the show. In a sleepy little village here in Indiana, in summer of 1987, peaceful town. People were going about their lives peacefully.
26-year-old Marilou, like Smythe, didn't know what was around the corner.
She was getting a schnitzel for her husband. What she didn't realize is she would not be giving him his schnitzel that night. And it's like, and then it's just a soothing story of it. But I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe they've gone to sleep before the dun dun dun.
You think that's what they want? You think we got to do this podcast in a kind of serial killers? Are they men or are they beasts kind of voice? You know?
I dig this topic very much, man, and I think some of the research, like, I can't wait for my opening fact, because man, why is that not a movie?
Okay,
I'll tell you why. It's not in Hollywood. That's why.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the thing that always bothers me about these crime podcasts is that there's, on the other side of these stories, there's a lot of victims and a lot of like very unhappy stories and devastated people, and there's a lot of trauma involved in them, and very rarely when you're looking at the kind of grisly details of what a serial killer is and who they are you talking about like actually just how terrible the things they're doing are?
I know. I mean, it's like my problem with Agatha Christie is I'm a huge fan of Agatha Christie, and it's always about the murder, and that's how he did it. And he snuck to the room, and he was hid in the cupboard, and then he came out with a knife, and then went back, and then he's like, what's the matter here? What's going on? Oh, hello, Poirot. Funny old chap lying on the floor. But to actually kill someone in cold blood,
Right.
you're a horrible person.
Right.
But it was
A horrible person and a butler,
But it was
according to
old
Agatha
Jim
Christie.
Jim Hastings from White Hart Lane. Hello,
Yes.
Jim. He's a very pleasant chap. And can't believe he did that.
One of you at this high tea is a murderer.
It's like
Yeah.
it's fucking stick a lady with the knife under a jugular, and then she's dead.
Yeah, exactly.
But he was at the tea party. It was lovely. Let's
Yes,
play
it's-
billiards.
Yeah. Oh, we're on a train journey across Europe. It's very quaint. Everybody's very stiff upper lipped about the fact that somebody just got shoved off the train. Anyway, good. So, the other thing I noticed that was quite strange in researching this thing is, and that it kind of occurred to me was nicknames. Why do we give serial killers nicknames? And I was thinking about it in the context of this of this quite grisly, like horrible, traumatic thing that they're doing, they get quite cool nicknames.
Yes.
You know, like my friends at school did not get cool nicknames. You know, like Robert Berkeley. Robert Berkeley was caught tugging one out at a scout camp, and his nickname was Voortrekker. And from that moment on, everybody just called him Voortrekker. You know, that was like shame. But so, you know, these are not. You don't give your friends nice nicknames, but we do, as a society, as a rule, give quite cool nicknames to serial killers, and I think we should change that.
We should.
You know, it shouldn't be like the Green River murderer. It should be the small-dicked, shriveled scrotumed killer. You know, like,
Jack the Knobhead.
Yeah, that's right. You know, mommy's boy killer.
Because that one became the first sort of public crazy one. Yeah, we'll talk about. I've got a fact about that one coming up.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah, Ripper. But Ripper then became synonymous.
You mean Jack the Ripper?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Then there was a few Rippers after him.
Okay.
All over the world. They all had a go.
But right, so there's the Rippers, there's BTK, there's Zodiac Killer. You know, South Africa's got the ABC Killer. Like it's, you know, we give these names to these kind of guys that make them sound like mysterious, when in fact they're just massive losers, really.
Real dickheads.
Yeah,
Sociopaths.
like absolute. I can say this, and I think maybe it's going to be quite a controversial one amongst our female listeners who love these things so much. But I think serial killers are assholes.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny about ladies, is ladies are funny things. Like afterwards, this is actually
I feel
quite...
like we're now diving into Joe Rogan's territory here, Ryan. Where are we going?
Now, after 9/11, there was some effed up article about why Osama bin Laden is a sexy man. Because he'd made all these videos and he stood up to the United States, and
to be fair, he was pretty rugged. He was 6'4", heavily bearded Rasputin type figure. All right, he lived in a cave. Probably smelled a little, didn't you know?
Maybe some girls like camping.
Maybe.
But he's a mass murderer, and ladies are doing an article why he's a sexy man.
Well, this is
ladies.
So this is a thing. Like if people get these big guys, these big serial killers get put in jail, and then they get flooded with love letters. You know, they get thousands of love letters. To the extent that, like, the BTK killer, if you want to write to the BTK killer in prison, he's such a narcissistic asshole. You have to fill in an application form to be allowed to send him a letter. That's what he receives so much mail. He doesn't want everybody to be allowed to send him mail. So yeah, there is a weird attraction in this thing, and I can't work it out. I think they're massive assholes, and I think I think part of the reason there's that weird attraction is that we give them these cool nicknames, and we should rather be calling them, like, you know, little shitbag snowflake. you know, like the police should be constantly on their TV being like, this massive loser with mummy issues is, you know, he's hacking up prostitutes down by the Green River. You know, that would be a lot better, I think, than. And listen, there's probably countless reasons the police don't do that. But I think that's the way we should handle these guys. Yeah.
No, it does get a notorious thing going. Notorious.
Yeah. And you give them these cool nicknames. Okay. Anyway, good. Who's doing the first fact this week?
Ooh, me.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and I suspect if we come to the end of the show and you haven't spoken about a fact which I suspect you might talk about, I'm going to break the news to our podcast listeners about you and your close proximity to one certain fact.
Oh, really?
Like, let me just get it out there now. Did you do anything on the Devil's Dorp story?
Oh, no.
No, but tell the people.
No.
He broke the story.
Well, I didn't. I enriched the story. No, because what happened is, I worked for a magazine company that owned a lot of community newspapers, and the community newspaper journalist in that area had gone to the court that day and actually broke the story. And she got no credit, and I can't even remember her name. But she broke the story, and then we were sent all the stories from the community newspapers, and then I used that story to kind of enrich a bit of a feature about it. And then bigger journalists at larger publications kind of took it over and then went to the court and followed the story and really kind of like blew it up and became famous with their own Devil's Dorp stuff. And yeah.
My word.
But anyway, it's I mean, that's as you say, it's a fascinating.
But you went to the courthouse for the opening hearing?
So I spoke to a lot of the people connected. Yeah, so that's how I kind of But no, I didn't go to the opening hearing. The story I wrote was pre that opening hearing. So it was kind of So she'd gone to the kind of initial pre-hearing thing, when they sort of charged them, and then postponed it to a later date, and she'd written about that. Ooh, there's these satanic killers in Krugersdorf, and they've been charged, and the date has been set down. And so I went and I filled in the story at that point, and then I wasn't at the first actual court appearance. The bigger journalists were all there because we'd moved on as a magazine. That story was done. We weren't about to go and create a documentary and become famous and wealthier on the back of the story. Anyway, silly,
my
but
word. Yes, my first one is proudly South African.
Oh, good. Okay.
But it's not that we're proud about this one, but it's a South African one. It's good old Daisy. Okay. Daisy DeMelka.
That's such a sweet name, isn't it, Daisy? She sounds like a 1940s cartoon cow.
Yeah, very sweet name. And of course, DeMelka, you think would have made her an Afrikaans. I'm not sure if the husband was Dutch, but she's an English
I just realized, if you don't mind, Ryan, Daisy the Milker. So she's named after a 1940s cartoon cow. Anyway, never mind. Let's carry on, shall we? I never noticed that about her before.
And there was that song, because she was pre-Second World War, and in Second World War, the song that my grandparents kind of got married to afterwards was Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer to. Did you kill your husband? Did you kill him? And so my fact is, I don't know how much you know about Daisy, but I'll tell you the fact, and then we can talk about Daisy.
The only thing I know about Daisy is that she looked like that Russian witch Baba Yaga had fucked her thatched chicken hut. Like that. She was not an attractive person, and I know that normally.
But is that photo only like from the lineup photo? Maybe she didn't get a good night's sleep.
Oh yeah. That lineup photo where she literally looks like.
Looked like she'd had a dose of strychnine herself. That's strychnine, thank you, Wharton.
She looks like a boma,
And it's nasty.
But listen, most people will judge us for judging her for the way that she looks. But I think it's fair. If you become a mass killer, gloves are off, I'm afraid.
Absolutely.
That's the way, yeah.
Bonnie was quite hot, but
He's a Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah, but we'll get to that later.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so the fact is, so she allegedly killed 2 husbands and a son. And what did she benefit from it? The fact is she benefited from the 3 murders. She benefited to a tune that totaled £7,000.
Okay.
And that's my fact.
Yeah, there was probably a lot of money back in the day. I know, and I'm digging back into the files in my brain here, Ryan, so you might have to correct me. But I seem to recall that she killed her first husband for insurance. And that the insurance company initially refused to pay out, and I think she had to take them to court to try and get them to pay out. I seem to remember something along those lines. And then the other thing I remember about her is that she was only ever convicted of the killing of her son.
Yeah, that is true.
And not the 2 husbands. And they've never been sure why she killed her son. Some people have sort of posited that perhaps he wanted some of the insurance money, or that he was cutting in, or maybe he was blackmailing her or something. But they don't know. There's no real financial benefit. So, but look, £7,000 was a lot of money back then. It's a lot of money now. You could buy a house in some parts of South Africa with £7,000. But yeah, back then I'm sure £7,000 was a lot of cash. So yeah, why not? I can believe that's what she benefited.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. She did. That's all she got. The first husband, £1,700. The second husband, quite right. There was a policy and a will, and it totaled about £5,700. Her son, she got £100 from. And the reason she was caught with her son, so strychnine was her thing of choice for the first 2. And I think they know it because the eyewitness accounts of the deaths were so horrific. Pain, screaming, horrible. And it seemed to be consistent with strychnine poisoning. But the son, he went to work and then had funny feelings and stuff, but he drank coffee from his mom's flask. And his friend had a sip of his coffee and had similar symptoms, but the friend recovered and the son died. And it was like, uh-oh. And she had traveled from Germiston to Turffontein to a chemist to get arsenic for her son. But she said it was for my cat who's a bit sick, and when you finish off her cat.
I mean, as a pharmacist,
you're
going to be like,
did?
yeah, sure.
Oh, shame
you want to poison your cat?
Turffontein, we do it all the time. Yeah. And so, but what fascinates me about her is like, she's not Afrikaans, she's English. Demelka, I don't know if it's Afrikaans or Dutch, but born in Grahamstown, went to a convent in Cape Town, then a nursing college in Durban, Berea, then met her first husband in Rhodesia, and died at his bedside.
Like he had any choice.
And then second husband was in Joburg. The rest of her life was in Joburg. And the second husband, some tragedy of like, had 5 kids and only one survived.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And she was the second woman, as far as I'm aware, who was hung in South Africa.
Yeah,
put to death by
Pretoria
hanging,
Central. Yeah, and Pretoria Central, man. I thought it was Constitution Hill because there's a court there, but I think that's the site of South Africa's last hanging.
Okay.
That prison there, but Daisy Demelka, Pretoria Central.
Okay, well there you go. I like to think of the guys who did hang her at the end being like, hey, Stephanus, chick, that chick is better hung than you.
I gotta have a shout out to locally produced movies about hanging. But have you seen Shepherds and Butchers?
No, I read the book when it came out.
Really?
Yeah, it's a lawyer who wrote it, I think.
Yeah, it's a co-production between Canada, Britain, and South Africa. Hell of a movie, worth a watch. Really, so good.
Okay.
It's really so good. I think it's the one of the trials that was all about.
Well, it's
a
it's an
question
invented,
mark on the.
It's an invented trial.
Really? So it didn't actually happen? Is it fiction?
I believe so. Yeah, but it's
man.
based. I think what he did was he put a couple of things together and he kind of created a fictional story, but because he wove in the real stories of the actual executions in South Africa, and he was kind of questioning the value of the death penalty and the damage it does to not only the families of those who are sentenced to death, but the people who actually have to to hang these guys. So I think there's a lot of complexity around, so you had a lot of real stories about the real death penalty and the real things in South Africa that were woven in along with this, I believe, fictional story.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Very good. I do think the Daisy story should be a thing on Netflix, man. Wow. Because if you got inside the why and the complexity of her life, and she was one of 12 kids and all that tragedy of her kids and moving around the country a lot, a real South African who moved around a lot. Yeah, Grahamstown, Cape Town, Durban, Joburg, even Rhodesia.
Maybe they can't find an actress who's prepared to admit she looks like Daisy Demelka.
We put the casting out.
We said we want hideous hag, hideous hag to appear as Daisy Demelka.
And only Kelly McGillis showed up. That's not funny. That's a joke. It's not funny. I think she's lovely. That's a joke. I love Kelly McGillis.
Oh man,
I loved her then. I love her now.
Don't worry, Ryan. 90% of people don't know who you're talking about. It's fine. I'm gonna stay with South Africa. Simply because I want to.
Such an asshole.
It's okay, Ryan. It's okay. We're gonna all get through this together. My fact is that South Africa's most prolific serial killer is free and living in East London.
Goodness
he's out in the
in today's world.
Yeah. In today's world, he's free and he's living in East London.
That's your fact.
That's my fact.
Jeez,
Our most prolific serial killer.
Yes, I hope you're wrong, eh? No, even with our police, I'm hoping you're very wrong. Come on. Where's the DA in East London going, excuse me, Mr. Municipality, we've got a problem here. I'm going to have to say that can't possibly be true. That is a false fact. You started with a most heinous lie. For that, you will swing from the gallows on the second Sunday.
No, I won't because it's true. It's true, yeah. So a lot of people assume that Moses Sithole is the ABC killer is our most prolific serial killer because they know for sure that he killed at least 38 people, 37 adults, 37 women, and a toddler. But and this guy was convicted for far fewer killings. But the story is, and his name is Louis van Schoor, and Louis was a former police officer who worked as a security guard, And what he used to do was he used to kind of in the early 90s, late 80s, 86 through to early 90s, he used to track the alarms at businesses that they were protecting, and then he would go out and he'd investigate the silent alarms. And every single time he went out to investigate the silent alarms, he'd shoot whoever he found on site. So he'd murder whoever he found on site. And he himself said that he'd shot over 100 people. They believe that he killed 39 people, which is why South Africa's most prolific serial killer. But he was only convicted of 7 killings and 2 attempted murders. And he was sent to jail for 20 years. And after 12, he got out free in the early 2000s, in 2004. And he's been living in East London, a free man, a born-again Christian, apparently. He says
Amen, brother.
Yeah, he says he's a new man. He's got his 5th wife. And this goes back to what we were talking about with the ladies being attracted to the serial killers, is because his 5th wife is a former Cape Town lawyer who used to write to him when he was in prison.
What is it about the shit? I mean, the Devilsdorp thing. You know, the journalist fell in love with the young lighty who slacht a few oaks.
Nice.
And she left her husband and she's in love with him.
Nice. There you go.
The fun Bredar oak.
He's got a girlfriend. Old Pastorius had a new girlfriend while he was on trial. Yeah. I mean, it's,
That's what we got to do to get
you can't get ladies.
You see, my serial killer days, I was really hectic.
Yes, I was sleeping with a woman.
I was just clapping the oaks and the chicks were just going.
Anyway, but so that's Louis van Schoor.
Wow.
And his girlfriend. The fact that disturbed me the most about the story is that his girlfriend, his now wife, calls him Engel and Bokkie. Which is a weird, if you're going to call your serial killing, like most prolific serial killing husband, anything, Engel is probably the wrong word. Yeah?
Isn't that a thing?
Yeah. So people of East London, like living in East London isn't bad enough.
That was a hell of a fact. That was really, really good. Moving on. Mine's a shortish fact, but it is that actually Bonnie and Clyde were considered America's first serial killer couple.
Okay.
That is my fact. I don't know all the details of Bonnie and Clyde, but The Highwayman is a hell of a... Is it a movie or a series?
That was a TV series in which guys used to drive those big trucks in the 80s, and then they'd have motorbikes on the back of the trucks. Wasn't that called The Highwayman?
But then there's a movie on Netflix. I know. It's got Kevin Costner and the other dude. Woody Harrelson.
Is Woody Harrelson Bonnie then?
Yeah. But the thing is that, this doesn't spoil the fact or anything, but yes, did they shoot the shit out of those two at the end. Yes, they fucking...
Is that your fact? They shot the shit out of them at the end?
No. Do you know a thing called Epic Rap Battles of History?
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. Yeah. So I've seen quite a lot of them, but there's 7 that I love. And I've got a ranking list.
Okay.
But my, I like...
I mean, your nerd rating is slowly climbing up, Ryan.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. My William Wallace versus George Washington. That's a great epic rap battle. But my number 1 epic rap battle, it's extraordinarily brilliant, is Romeo and Juliet versus Bonnie and Clyde. And they rap against each other. It's fucking brilliant. But there you get a real essence of their characters, and that's
from the rap battle.
Yeah, but because in Highwaymen you don't get a sense of their characters. In fact, they're almost these phantoms who just appear.
Oh, and it's about the police, the law enforcement who are chasing them.
Those who fucking shoot the shit out of these.
Yeah, I mean, you must have seen the classic Bonnie and Clyde movie.
I haven't, man. Faye Dunaway and the chick that Madonna married,
Warren Beatty.
The guy that Madonna
Is it Warren Beatty?
Yeah. Do you know, speaking of Warren Beatty, it's got nothing to do with serial killers, but the story goes when Cher went to Hollywood to become an actress, she was 19, then she was walking across and she saw Warren Beatty in the car, and she waved and he was like, "Hey, do you want to come back to my place?" She's like, "Okay," and hopped back, and then they went and had a tryst.
Yeah, look, nice for some. And he wasn't even a serial killer, so
no. But she was so it's like she wasn't even famous yet. But that's sort of, hey, Hollywood, eh?
Yeah, it's wild there. Anyway, so what your fact is that they were the first. I don't think you would have brought this up as a fact if they were in fact the first serial killing couple. Yeah, because that was your fact, right? That they were
the first ever.
Serial
Considered America's first serial killer couple.
I don't think you would have brought it up if that was the fact, because everybody's heard of Bonnie and Clyde. Everybody knows they killed a bunch of people. I reckon there's a couple older than that. That's what I think.
Well, Bugger, you're right again,
Yes!
but for the wrong reason. But I'll give it to you.
Brutal.
Well, Deech will give it to you ultimately. He's the
Oh
ultimate
yeah,
master of
the points guy. Yeah.
universe. But no, they're just it's a trick fact because they're not considered serial killers.
Right. Okay.
They were just criminals, man. You get in their way, then they're gonna shoot you. But they're not. So serial killer, as in a predatory kind of premeditated.
So I thought there was like mass murderers were people who killed a lot of people on one day, and then serial killers were people who killed over a series of time. So that's why I assumed that they would fit under that serial killing.
No, they were just robbing banks and funeral parlors, apparently.
Yeah, and then just killing people as like a side.
Yeah.
So they're not really serial killers then. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you are.
There you are.
Fascinating.
You didn't make it, Bonnie and Clyde. You did get the shit shot out of you, though. You'll see. Not funny. Jeez, did they pump them? My word. It's in Highwayman. You get a sense of the pumping. And in the epic rap battle.
No, but
you
also
get a sense of
in the movie, in
they
the classic
fucking-
movie, you do.
they
And I've seen
pumped
photos of
them,
that
eh?
car. It's riddled with bullets. They went.
You know, what about a dude, one in the head? Boom, got him. Boom, got her.
Have they ever heard of arresting people?
Oh, yeah, there's that.
Yeah. I mean, look, the American police aren't big on an arrest without a shooting. They love an old shooting. If they can shoot a potential suspect, they'll do it.
But because they shot a lot of cops. So maybe that was we're going to fucking finish these guys off properly.
Yeah.
But I think that hit on these two criminals, it's a bit fucking hectic. It's a bit police brutality.
I think.
Can you say
Listen,
that?
I think any kind of a murder, if the police go out and go overboard and they end up killing people, that's police brutality, right? And it's just about whether it's justifiable police brutality. And listen,
Hey, it was Louisiana rock and roll.
You also knew that they were going to shoot back, right? Like they were definitely they'd shot at police before. So I suppose we've got to make sure this thing gets done. Yeah.
Like that. Boom. Did I get him? I think I got him.
Yeah, and then he's opening fire
Boom.
on you.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's all done. No. Bang, 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 bang. Brrr, finish your things. Load more.
I'm glad that your second fact on a serial killer podcast is not about serial killers. Though. Congratulations, Ryan. Well done. I'm gonna bring it back to serial killers and I'm not just gonna bring it back to serial killers. I'm gonna bring it back to one of the most famous names in serial killing, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Ooh.
Jeffrey Dahmer once admitted, and this is my fact. Jeffrey Dahmer once admitted that he doesn't eat people with tattoos because the tattoos make them taste bad.
Oh, my word. Oh, jeez. And I know very little about Jeffrey Dahmer, except that my son said, you got to watch the movie, Dad. It's called Positively Evil and Sickeningly Evil. Well, that's you know what, like when the judge read his verdict,
Oh yeah.
he said you were something evil and disturbingly. There's like 4 words, and that's the name of the movie.
Okay.
And it stars the dude from High School Musical.
Oh, nice. What, Zac Efron?
Zach, yeah,
Really?
Zach's Jeffrey, I believe.
Oh wow.
So, but I know nothing about Jeffrey Dahmer except the name. Extremely wicked, shockingly evil.
Okay, there
That's
you
the name
are.
of the movie. So my son said, "You got to watch that, Dad."
Yeah, I'm not sure I would want to watch it. Like you just hear the stories. He's sort of next level depraved. You know, so he became known for killing young men, and there were so many times when he could have been caught a lot earlier in his career, and then he wasn't because apparently he was quite a charming guy. So he used to, cops would show up at his door because the neighbors had complained about the rancid smell that was coming from like his house, and he would just charm them and say, "Oh no, I had some meat go off in the fridge," and then to the extent that
Is that the singer Meatloaf?
to the extent that there was a story that people had reported that a naked 14-year-old boy was running away bleeding from the house, and the police caught this 14-year-old boy and returned him to Jeffrey Dahmer. And Jeffrey Dahmer apparently told them, he said, "No, this is my adult lover. I'm so embarrassed. It's my adult lover, and he drinks a bit too much." And the cops left him there, and then they went away. But what had happened was, and this is, disturbing. Dahmer had drilled a hole in his skull and injected his head with hydrochloric acid, trying to make a sex zombie. And that's why the kid was all confused and, wasn't able to think properly, not because he was drunk, but because of that. And the cops left, and Dahmer just immediately injected a second dose and killed him. So, yeah, like you think about these, the number of times that people could have stopped Jeffrey Dahmer.
Wow.
But, yeah, so he talked, he talked quite candidly about the things that he did and the stuff that he got up to. And yeah, apparently it's true. Apparently...
I was gonna say, it's true.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's true. Was I? Oh, Ted Bundy is the one of shockingly evil and
I see.
Tempestuously silly.
Ted Bundy landed up helping profilers later on in his life too, and it's kind of the apparently allegedly the Hannibal Lecter thing was kind of inspired by him, because he landed up helping profilers. In fact, his profile of the Green River Killer was apparently more accurate than the FBI's profile.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that where they got the the idea for Silence of the Lambs from?
Yeah.
Of approaching a killer to try and catch a killer.
Yes. Yeah. But so that's Ted Bundy. But yeah, Dahmer was next level. So
I would have said yes, true, that he would have said something as stiff as that.
I figured you would.
Yeah. That he doesn't like the taste of tattoos.
Yeah.
What a stiff oak.
He used to. His flat was so full of bodies at one point that he stored one in his bath for a number of weeks. But then he had one of those showers over the bath, so he used to take his shower sort of standing over this dead body, washing his hair for a number of weeks with this corpse in his bathroom.
My word.
Yeah.
Good bloody grief, man.
Grim.
Well, I've got a fascinating fact. I don't think it's as hectic as good old Jeffrey there, but there was a movie on when I was with my dad called, and I remember just watching the trailer, and then I fell asleep on the couch watching it with him. But it was called The Boston Strangler, and it was a oldies movie made quite soon after the events, about 40s and 50s was the actual events, and then the movie was about 60 something. But we watched it. It was a SABC Saturday night thing. TV.
All of your
TV3,
all of your
man.
facts based on TV shows that you've watched. Can we
so.
expect? There's this purple dinosaur rampaging through the village, allegedly loving all the children. Horrifying.
And him and Mother Goose with a stick, they go around. And
there's a monster that lives in the bin and eats nothing but cookies. Wait, those are two separate characters.
So, yeah, the Boston Strangler in the 50s did go around terrorizing the Boston district.
With a knife.
No, strangled. Yeah. Strangled, yeah.
You see, the Boston Strangler is such a cool nickname.
It is, the Boston
Yeah.
In fact, I think they went and called their ice hockey team the Boston Stranglers after.
Imagine if they'd called him like the Flaccid Cock Killer or something. It would have been a lot cooler.
And he was also called the Silk Stocking Killer.
Okay.
Because, that's what he...
See all
and
these cool
it's
names.
about 13 women that he killed. But my fact is that the thing that connected all the victims was that, this is troubling, is that they all knew him. That's my fact. They all knew the Boston Strangler.
Oh. I have to tell you, one of the things that I you hear so many stories about serial killers that you've got to start taking precautions when it comes to being the victim of a serial killer.
Yes.
And the first thing I did that was very successful so far is that I was born a male. Because the vast majority of serial killers don't actually prey on men.
Except Jeffrey. Fucking Jeffrey. What the fuck?
I mean, there's a few of them, but that's a big step. But the other thing I do is I don't take out life insurance, Ryan. And I make sure that all of my partners and everyone connected to me know that I don't have life insurance. So they know, if I die, they will only get poorer. now you see
Very good.
Yeah, they're
Very
incentivized to keep me alive.
No strychnine in your tea.
No, that's right, exactly. You're incentivized to keep me alive because actually it's better for you if I'm going to my job and I'm doing my work and I'm coming home with a paycheck because there's no money for you once I'm gone. I think people misconsider this, you know.
Yeah.
Well, every day I get phone calls from companies. They want to sell me funeral insurance. Like, I'm not interested. I don't want funeral insurance. I want my death, if anything, to cost money.
Damn, bugger.
It must cost my loved ones money. They must
Keep
know
them
that
alive.
there's absolutely no benefit to killing me whatsoever.
Yeah, my funeral's going to be cucumber sarmies, egg mayonnaise at the most.
Yeah.
A few songs from my playlist. The DJ of the disco afterwards.
I mean,
Open bar, cash bar. Open bar up to $2,000, and then cash bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
My funeral is going to be it's going to be flowers, poems, photographs, eulogies from my loved ones, necrophilia, songs by Avril Lavigne. No, I know. Don't worry. I know. It's disgusting.
The songs by
Avril Lavigne.
But park the necrophilia. Park that for later in the. There's a fucking thing. So Boston Strangler. Yes. So that was my fact.
Okay.
The thing that connected all the victims. They all knew him.
I feel like you don't shit on your own doorstep. You know, like if you're gonna be a serial killer, that's amateur hour. You don't kill the people you know. Firstly, who are you going to have a beer with? If you just... Listen, have you noticed how Larry, every week he goes out, whoever he goes for a beer with, they vanish. Nobody knows what happens to them. They turn up in a barrel at the bottom of a ravine somewhere. You know, I mean, that you really are cutting into your social life quite hectically.
It's like my mate I work with, Pierre. He's like, his wife fell pregnant, and then 2 other ladies in our office fell pregnant. So then I was like, Pierre... They've been working too closely with Pierre. It was very funny. Or was it funny?
I mean, not now. Not now. But at the time, I'm sure it was hilarious. Yeah. Yeah. Why not? Let's say, yeah, sure. They all knew the Boston Strangler, or at least were connected to him in some way. I reckon. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna say that you're wrong for this, but it's tricky. You know, you could maybe overrule, but no, that was not the fact that connected him. Not that they all knew him, but the fact is that there was never a forced entry.
Oh.
Yeah. So he would pretend to be a plumber or some shit like that.
Or
a repair person or
I think he said, this triggers a memory. Because I think he said that he would never go into an unlocked door because he felt uninvited. So if the door was unlocked, he would go in because he felt like he was invited then, which is really like, lock your doors. You know, like everyone lock your doors.
And you watch those plumbers. Yeah.
Yeah, the plumbers aren't as sexy as the internet would make you think.
When they bend over the plumber's crack, that's there to draw you.
Don't
look at it. It's there to draw.
Lure you in. They aren't just there to unclog your drain. It's filth. The internet, because that's a thing. The internet has made us believe that plumbers are sexy, you know, that you don't have to pay them, you know. But this is teaching us otherwise. Clowns, on the other hand, got a totally raw deal, also from serial killers. Was it John Wayne Gacy, who was a clown, a children's entertainer's clown?
No, I didn't know about that. Is that where maybe Stephen King got the idea from?
Probably, yeah.
My word.
So you know, that's a total other leap in the dark, I guess. But so clowns have never recovered from John Wayne Gacy. Meanwhile, plumbers, clearly the Boston Strangler didn't do them lifelong damage.
No, I bet chicks dig plumbers, you know.
Yeah, it's because they know how to lay pipe. It's terrible. I'm deeply, deeply sorry for that. I shouldn't have mentioned that. But on the subject of John Wayne Gacy, I'm going to leap to my next fact because. Have you heard of the Wayne theory?
No.
So the Wayne theory says that there is a disproportionate number of men with the middle name Wayne who are killers.
Oh, my
And that's
word.
my fact, that there are, in fact, a disproportionate number of killers have the middle name Wayne.
Ah, shame. What a weird fact.
Yeah.
The Wayne theory.
Yeah, it's called the Wayne theory, yeah.
It can't possibly be true. It can't possibly be true.
All right, let me give you.
I'm going to say
I'm going to give you some more facts.
You can. I'll park my answer as no. You're talking cack.
Okay. Oh, all right. But let me give you some extra facts. So, news of the weird, because this first became a thing in the 90s. The Wayne theory that so many killers had the middle name Wayne. And news of the weird went out, and since 1996 have been tracking convictions of killers with the middle name Wayne. And to date, they've got 223 names of guys who are killers. And as I say, including, obviously, John Wayne Gacy and then Elmer Wayne Henley, who were both very famous serial killers. So, so 223 of them so far since 1996.
Good grief. Is it true?
So, I mean,
I'm saying, no, it can't possibly be true. Disproportionately large amounts of killers with the name Wayne in there. I'm like, no,
Okay, so as it turns out, the Wayne theory is a real thing. It's this belief that having the middle name Wayne makes you disproportionately more likely to be a serial killer. But on examination, so because of the Wayne theory, a couple of websites dedicated to names and to the history of names and stuff have done censuses, and they found that 0.82% of all American males have the middle name Wayne. Right? So 0.8.
Eh?
Yeah, so it's quite a high percentage, because apparently it's quite popular in the South.
Yeah.
And obviously there's 223 now, and then they worked it out of 47,000 killers, people who have been convicted of killing since 1996. Which makes it a 0.41% of people who are killers have the middle name Wayne. So in fact, what should be a 0.82% is in fact half. So having the middle name Wayne means you're actually less likely to be to be a killer. To be a killer than.
That's great.
But it's such a big deal because in the South of America they've got apparently culturally they have fewer names that they use. So there'll be a lot of people in a specific area with the same name. So they tend to use the full name. So then they'll say John Wayne Gacy, for example. And they'll use the whole, so you notice the Wayne. And because of John Wayne Gacy being so famous, that name Wayne does pop when you see it on stories. There was a woman in Texas who started collecting Waynes just in her part of the city that were getting convicted for killing. And in a 6-month time, she found 20 names. Just in 6 months from her area alone. So it's possible that this 223 isn't a complete list, and that Waynes are dangerous people. People with Wayne as a middle name are dangerous people. But at the moment, the stats seem to say that no, they're no more dangerous than anyone else.
I think it might be true. I'll tell you why. Because their mothers calling them Wayne, Wayne, and as a kid it just drives them crazy. And I wish us grow up as killers. And it shoots at Wayne.
Wayne, come in for your spaghetti, Wayne.
Wow. Okay, so the Wayne theory.
So the Wayne theory is, as it stands, it appears to not be true. But there is literally, you can go, News of the Weird, there is a list there of all of the convicted killers in America with the middle name Wayne.
Because of that whole South thing, I mean, in one of Gladwell's books, when he just breaks down immigration to America from Europe. And yes, many, many countries send immigrants, many, many. And we know about Irish people and Eastern Europeans and Jewish people and Italians and stuff. But he says, like, really, the big waves of U.S. immigration was all England. Yeah, and there was 4 of them. And he's starting with the Puritans and the Quakers in Delaware and Puritans in Massachusetts. So he's like, it's actually very all England. And it's all like, working class kind of England was the major. It's still the kind of, core of
immigration,
U.S. immigration. So maybe that name Wayne and then maybe
I don't know. When you think about the name Wayne, it kind of comes up mainly for Canadians, I suppose, other than as the middle name of killers.
Yeah, I don't know. British people. Well, there's Wayne Rooney and stuff, so I suppose it is. But there's a lot of South Africa knows. Hey, Wayne, how's it, bro?
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Seth is there.
Yeah.
Oh, we called Wayne. Right.
I know. I'm from Ranford.
I know. I'm quite frequently accidentally called Wayne, which is sort of annoying. Because it automatically conjures me back to Wayne's World, like Myers. Anyway. But yeah, so apparently the Wayne theory, as lovely as it sounds, not true. Very sad. Very sad, yeah.
Well, I said we must park necrophilia. Well, it's time to bring it to the surface. It's necrophilia time.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, can we have can we get some spinning lights, some fireworks? It's the necrophilia hour with Ryan Whittle.
That terrible joke. Should I tell it?
Yeah, tell it.
It's awful. It's like, what is the definition of a necrophiliac? Someone who likes to crack open a cold one. That's sorry, folks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
PG, T's and C's apply.
Yeah.
PGC.
No, we did warn. There was a trigger warning.
No, but this is another movie that I watched but this is significant. It's close to my heart, sort of, because my mother.
Well, necrophilia is close to your heart.
No.
Okay, all right.
My mother told me that your dad took me to see this movie in the Bioscope in Vereniging. And I was so petrified. It was horrible.
Your dad was a player, because that's apparently the big first date thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So the movie was called 10 Rillington Place.
Okay.
Yeah. It was also like a 60s movie. And so my fact is that this oak in 10 Rillington Place, which is in Notting Hill.
Oh, so he was an English serial killer.
Yes. In the 40s, late 40s. And he killed 8 people, women, maybe a child as well. There was definite indications of necrophilia. He stored some of the people in his in the boards in his house, like between the thing and the one under the boards of his house. And there's like some little section between so it seemed like a small little flat thing. That's what the movie showed. And the kitchen, like you rip back the kitchen wooden boards, and there's 3 bodies there and one there, and he was eventually hanged for his crimes in 1950.
What was his name?
Chap from, I think it's John Christie, 10 Rillington Place killer. And the book was then called 10 Rillington Place. All true, all factual.
Oh, excellent.
And then the movie was called 10 Rillington Place. And it's in London. It's in Notting Hill. John Christie was the chap's name. 8 women. And he would also, there was indication that he had a bit of a go.
I get the sense, right, that if you got caught as a serial killer back in the day, you were a bit cuck. You were a bit shit at it. Because you were putting the bodies in the walls of your flat. Because... they didn't have forensics, right? They didn't have these kind of modern technology. They couldn't check your DNA on a murdered victim. So you must have been a bit slack, a bit stupid, but like not good at your job. And I'm sure there's thousands of serial killers that existed throughout time that have gotten away with, millions of murders simply because of the lack of DNA. And then I think about these things that now, they're doing all these cold cases, where they're going back and they're kind of looking at the DNA of cases from before there was forensics. So they're kind of and they're catching guys, or at least they're finding out who the killers were from murders 70, 80, 90 years ago. And then I think to myself, isn't that weird? Like, that they have DNA samples from back then, like that like the police constable, not knowing what forensics was, not knowing the value of keeping... was walking into a murder scene, seeing sperm all over the walls, and telling his man, "Bag it, boys, and put it on a shelf in my office." It's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit strange. Why were they keeping all of that stuff? Because I can imagine when it's like blood on a lapel or something.
Yeah.
It's just because you've kept the jacket. But quite often they're keeping everything,
Yeah, no one's asking, why have you got a thing
Yeah,
of-
why have you got a cupboard full of sperm, Captain?
Oh my word.
Yeah, but anyway, so this guy, as you were telling that story, I was like, what an amateur! Why are you, like my first thought is, how would I have gotten away with this? And I suppose maybe he didn't have a way to get rid of the body easily in central London. But, putting them in the wall of your house seems to be asking for trouble, doesn't it?
I think so.
Or maybe he wanted them around so he could open, like every Christmas, like an advent calendar. he could open a section of his house and enjoy the prize within.
I think it's a sign that, inner London's getting too congested because serial killers have nowhere to put the bodies anymore. They have to put them in the walls of a...
Yeah, graves are 8 layers deep, and serial killers have nowhere to put the bodies but in the unhygienic spaces between their kitchen walls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, although maybe, as you say, there's necrophilia involved, so perhaps he was keeping them as some sort of like... Because this was pre-inflatable women, It was pre-blow-up dolls.
Yeah, maybe. Was it? That's a fact. When did they first come out?
Hey? Or come in.
Yeah,
This is the case, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, my word. So, that's the 10 Rillington Place facts.
Okay. So is the movie true?
He was hanged,
These movies
1950.
are very seldom 100% true. So you're saying that it's all true.
Yeah.
I would say the movie was a dramatized version of the story.
Really?
Yeah.
So the fact's not true then?
So the fact, it can't be 100% true.
All right. Well, bugger, you're right. But I try to catch you. I said he was hanged for his crimes in 1950.
Oh, I see.
Here's the tragedy. He wasn't. One of the husbands was hanged incorrectly for the death of his wife and the kid. So this guy killed the wife and the kid, and the husband was on trial. And this guy, John Christie, was a witness for the prosecution. And they sentenced him to hanging.
My word.
And then much later on, but after John Christie was, dead by hanging and, received a pardon.
Sorry,
and all that.
hang on.
Then he was caught.
So long after the guy had already been killed.
Yeah, long after the husband had been killed. But so he was eventually caught. I think the way he tricked the one woman was he said he'd help her with an abortion, and he put her out, and then he killed her. Fucking nasty.
None of these grisly details. But this opens up that whole conversation around the value of the death penalty.
I know,
because a lot of South Africans, I know we're in a position at the moment where crime is, some people feel it's out of control, and the only way to control these sorts of things is stronger, stricter sentences like the death penalty. And then, you hear these sorts of stories where in countries with functional legal systems, the wrong person was put to death.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Certainly for me, it's not worth it.
I'm leaning. I used to be, a bit and it came from my conservative views that, come on, bad people, eye for an eye, they don't get better. They've done such heinous things. But actually, I'm now more of a sign of a most sophisticated, civilized place is the way you treat your enemies, if you want to call them that, philosophically. And it's like we've got to be better than them, and we've got to show dignity just because they're human, even though they did heinous things. Because you just can't be like them.
I think that's part of it. Like nobody wants to by sanctioning your government to kill on your behalf, you kind of indirectly become a killer yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it. But I think for me, the stronger part of it is this kind of injustice of executing. Firstly, we definitely imprison the wrong person a lot, but you imprison a wrong person, there's a way back.
Yeah.
After a couple of years, you get to say, we made a terrible mistake, and we're going to let you go, and it was awful for you. But it's not the end of the world. When you execute someone, that's it. That's the end. That's you. There's no way back. You can pardon a person after they did, but they went to that gallows.
And where I'm torn is I believe some personality types can't change. There's no remorse and there's no redemption. But even so, the humanity inside them is worth some sort of dignity. And that's where I'm just at some weird kind of rational peace. That's my stance.
There's a very famous serial killer, Kemper, who he helped legal enforcement since to catch other serial killers and things. And what he did was he murdered a lot of women, and then he ended his murder spree by killing his extremely abusive mother. And then what he did was he turned himself in. He contacted the police and he said, I did all of this, I did this. They arrested him. He then purposefully gave them all this information about his killings before he called a lawyer, because he was like, I don't want later to want to back out, to be able to back out. I need you to lock me away. I'm a bad person. Like,
Sure.
I need you to send me to jail. He went to jail. Subsequently, he's been allowed to go on parole, but he skips his parole hearings. He just doesn't turn up for them because he's like, I will kill again. Like, you need to keep me in jail.
Wow.
Like, it's not. Yeah, so on some level, he knows that he's like a bad person.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
So there is an element of that, I suppose.
Yes. Wow.
At the moment, I've spoken quite a bit about Moses Sithole, because the ABC killer, and he was sentenced to jail for thousands of years, so he's never going to get out. We're going to pay. We as the South African public are going to pay for this guy to live in C-Max until he dies of old age. It's just it's an expense that we have. And we know he did it. He admitted to many of the killings. He
Is this one and I actually don't know much about him. Is it KZN?
No. So he's called the ABC killer because he killed in Attridgeville in Pretoria, in Brakpan, and in Cleveland.
Good Lord.
So he claims that he didn't do most of the killings in Cleveland.
Cleveland, is that in the south of Joburg? Where's Cleveland? Close to the city. Close to Joburg City.
I don't know. I actually didn't
And
look
what
it
era
up,
was this?
So this was the 90s, 2000s.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Good bloody grief.
So as I say, he's the one that they know he killed 38 people at least. But he says he didn't kill the people in Cleveland. He's admitted he killed and in fact the profiler for the case said that they believed that there were two killers operating there. And that it's possible that he killed only some of the people in Cleveland and others were killed by this other killer. But so he's now in jail. There's no parole for him. He's gonna spend the rest of his life there, and we're gonna pay for it. And there's kind of an argument there, I suppose, when you say, well, in a country that is so stretched for its resources and all these kind of things, and we know he did it, and he admitted he did it, and but yeah, as you say, the only thing keeping you back, as you say, morally, as a country, we've reprehensibly put a lot of people to death for things, traitorous activities against the apartheid regime, reasons that they should never have been put to death for, and no more of that,
Yeah. Don't know why it's so almost settled in my soul. I don't know why, because even up to maybe 3 years ago, I was pro death penalty. Now I'm not. But maybe that movie Shepherds and Butchers
maybe
has
also,
something to do with it as well.
And maybe you're happy now, Ryan. Don't have as much hate in your heart for your fellow man.
Quite right, I must say. Quite right. Very good. Quite right. Very good. Which brings me to my final fact before the multiple choice fact.
Right.
And it's also, you mentioned ABC. Mine
Hang on, where were we? Didn't you just do your...
Oh, did I
fact?
say yes or no?
No, didn't you? I think you just did your fact about...
Moses Sithole.
No, we were talking about the death penalty. You brought up the fact that Curtis was accidentally murdered, so it's me. It's my turn.
Oh, you were just talking ABC.
Yeah, we just happened to be. Yeah, we just connected on that on a loose basis. So I the reason why is because I thought to myself, well, this is a perfect opportunity for me to talk about the Yorkshire Ripper, Peter Sutcliffe, who he murdered a bunch of women, and my fact is that he was arrested. They thought that he was a prime suspect. They interviewed him, and then they let him go because his accent didn't match the accent of the Yorkshire Ripper who was phoning in and taunting the police.
My word.
And that it turned out the Yorkshire Ripper who was phoning in and taunting the police was a hoaxer.
Good grief.
And that hoaxer enabled the Yorkshire Ripper to go on to kill 3 more women. So that's my fact.
Good grief, man.
Yeah.
And what era was the Yorkshire Ripper?
1970s, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, a good 70 years after...
Yeah, I think he was caught in 1981. So, you're talking the late 70s. Yeah.
Wow, women as well, and my word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I don't know anything about that case, but what a crazy fact. What a crazy, crazy fact. Would they have been that odd? It doesn't sound like the guy on the phone. We're about to let him go then. So I don't really know Yorkshire. Isn't it a Geordie accent?
No. Yorkshire is the full Yorkshireman, and I can't really do it. But it's that Oh, you were lucky. It was-
Luxury.
Yeah, luxury. Yeah,
Luxury.
luxury. Yeah, that's-
Isn't Postman Pat from Yorkshire?
There you are.
Hey, Postman, get
There
out of
you
the
are.
way, sheep. Come on, out the way. Out you go.
It's the way.
Cheerio, Pat. Cheerio. Nice to see you, Pat. Did you bring some post? No, I don't. No, just come for a cup of tea.
For a man who says he can't do a Yorkshire accent or doesn't know,
came back
that
to
just
me. I just
right
came to-
there, right?
I love Postman Pat.
I love.
It's such a pretty show because his little van is driving up and down the little hills and dales and valleys of lovely Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's very pretty.
Right. I mean,
Yorkshire. Have you been to Yorkshire?
no, but isn't Yorkshire all mining country? It's all
an
coal
area.
mining country. Yeah.
It's an area.
Yeah.
It's quite a big area.
So it's a whole county.
Just a-
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So
I'm the
but he was-
Yorkshire
yeah,
Ripper. I'm going to. No, I'm being Ringo Starr. That's Liverpool.
Yes, that's
I'm the
right.
Yorkshire Ripper. I'm going to go kill another lady and deliver her a nice piece of parcel. Hello, it's the Yorkshire Ripper coming. There he is.
Yeah, hello, it's the Yorkshire Ripper. You let me in your house. I got a package. Come on, puss.
Let's go. Give her the knife. All right.
I will never watch Postman Pat again with the same. Then again, if I'm watching Postman Pat, things have gone horribly wrong in my life, and I probably wouldn't be watching it with the same eye anyway.
Loved him.
Yeah.
And I would say that the Yorkshire police are smarter than that, so that's a load of bollocks, if you ask me.
Would you? Would you?
It's a load of bollocks. There's no way that let that guy go. They knew him. I won't say no way. It doesn't sound like the guy on the phone. He's our guy.
I mean, very good, Ryan. Very good. It's actually true.
Oh my
Absolutely
God!
true.
Yorkshire.
The guy on the phone was doing a Geordie accent, and the Yorkshire Ripper, Peter Sutcliffe, had a Yorkshire accent, and they questioned him. They thought they had their guy. Then he came in and he spoke, and they were like, "No, we don't have our guy." They let him go. And the hoaxer.
It doesn't sound like the guy on the phone.
Yeah, the hoaxer was eventually caught. His name is John Humble, and he was sentenced to 8 years in 2006 only. So sort of 25 years after the Yorkshire Ripper was finally caught. John Humble, the hoaxer, who had in fact
What an asshole.
had in fact caused the situation where they released the Yorkshire Ripper, and he did go on to kill 3 more women after that.
Is there some kind of obstruction of justice and a culpable homicide?
So that's why he was sentenced to 8 years in 2006 for that, because it wasn't that he was responsible for the murders. You can't say he was responsible for the murders, because he didn't do the killings.
No.
But you can certainly say that he what he did hampered an investigation and had dire consequences. So yeah, there you go. John Humble was his name, and he also, just like serial killers. Dun, da, 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 John Humble, if you're listening, you, sir, are an asshole.
Yes, very much so.
You are an asshole.
Even with your Yorkshire accent, you're an arsehole.
No, he's got a Geordie accent.
Geordie,
That was the
'cause
whole
he's
thing.
Geordie,
Yeah,
'cause
that was the
Geordie-
whole thing. Yeah.
Geordie's like those people. What's that term? The term if you kiss on Geordie Shore when they kiss each other. Oh, he's having it. What's having it? What? What's it? That's a word. He's having it. There's a word for it, man. There was having a. It's not snog. It's like, oh, it's having a snog, but it's another kind of Geordie word.
Yeah, but Geordie's got that like hint of.
Not that I
Scottish in
watch
it.
Geordie Shore much.
Is Geordie Shore still a thing, Ryan? I don't know. I don't think it is. It's fine. I think you get off. I mean,
find
sorry,
out
you
what
get
the
off
word for
whenever you watch Geordie
Kissing on Geordie Shore is. I'll find out what that word is. It's a phrase. It's a thing.
Shore. If you know, leave it in the comments.
Do.
Leave it in the comments so Ryan doesn't have to do his own research.
Right, it's my fifth and final fact. Now you mentioned Moses Atula ABC murders because of places with ABC, but it's actually the ABC murders was originally based on a Scotland Yard crime, a spate of murders in Britain, and Strews Bob. They only figured out that could be linked by one killer by looking at the victims' names: AA, BB, CC, and it even got up to a DD. So some psycho was
So like Alistair
looking at
Andrews.
Yes,
Bob Berkeley. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Charles
Yeah.
Chippington,
Yeah.
and Dale Denkins. Was
So there was an ABC killer in Scotland
yeah,
as well,
yes,
is
yes,
what you're saying.
in Scotland Yard. So that's not.
Oh,
Scotland.
so in England.
Britain, England,
In
yeah.
Britain, yeah, there was
Yes, that's the original. Was names, not places like Moses Atula, but ABC murders. What became known as The ABC Murders. Another cool name.
I mean, they got it pretty quick, you know. I mean, if somebody's like, oh, AA, BB, CC, and you're like, oh, the next one's got to be a DD. Let's warn all the David Duchovnys out there. No, David Duchovny. You know,
and E.E. Cummins is going, fuck, am I next? But it's E.E.
Yeah,
Please not
and I'm
me.
a C. I'm a C. I'm a C.
But there's an E in the middle.
Yeah. All right. So, I don't know. That just sounds too contrived, doesn't it? It sounds like, I mean, that could be true, I suppose. It could. But it sounds contrived. Like, if I'm going to go out and kill people, it's not going to be based on something, you know, something that arbitrary. It seems a bit much. Yeah, no, lies.
Liverpool supporters.
Yeah.
So you think that's a lie?
I think Ryan, you filled the serial podcast. You looked at serial killers and you thought you'd do a crime of your own, and you filled it with lies. That's what I think has happened here.
You're doing well this episode. You're doing very well. You're doing very well. It is a lie, and when you said contrivance, it is a fantastic contrivance because, as you know, it's as you might know, it's an Agatha Christie book.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
the ABC.
I didn't know that.
And then Hercule Poirot said, "Wait, what is the initials of the first victim? Arthur Andrews. What is the initials of the second victim? You must notify all the people with the letter T in their name in the whole of the Yorkshire area."
Only Hercule Poirot could work it out that fast. There's no one else would have gotten that.
Yeah, and apparently it's a much celebrated book. I listened to the audiobook, and it didn't do it for me as much as her classics like Orient Express or Death on the Nile or Murder on the Links or Murder in Mesopotamia. But the ABC Murders, it was different. It was a serial killer. First time Auntie Agatha tackled a serial killer.
Oh, really? Is that okay? There you are. So that's how you tie it in with this.
Yes. And I wonder what Kenneth Branagh's going to do next because he's done Murder on the Orient. You know, he did the Shakespeare thing. Now he's going Agatha Christie, and he did lovely Murder on the Orient Express. Johnny was in that. And Johnny got I don't want to spoil the plot. And then he did Death on the Nile. It was, I preferred Orient Express as a book to Death on the Nile. Death on the Nile was a hell of a movie.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, it's very much worth it.
Oh, all right. I'm going to look into it. I'll see if I can.
I can see them turning this into a great movie, the ABC Murders. Yeah.
So it's the next one.
I don't know what Kenneth's going to be up to.
Huh.
Okay.
All right.
Kenneth's great. He must go down as one of the great film oaks of all time ever. He's up there with Tom, but on the other side of the Atlantic.
Yeah, and he creates a lot of serials, which almost fits in with this whole whole theme. I'm gonna stick with your writer's theme for my final fact. I'm gonna go with a writerly theme, and mine is that more than one journalist has become a serial killer and been caught because of their coverage of the killings.
More than one.
More than one journalist has.
Oh, that is wicked.
Yeah. Has
so
become a serial killer.
I'm covering the story and I'm writing about it and I'm writing
That's
about it.
right,
Who
that's
is it? Who is it? Who is it? Cause.
Well, yeah.
It's you fucker. You're the one who's been writing about it.
It's sort of a reverse Peter Parker, if you will, because Peter Parker obviously takes photos of Spider-Man, but he never gets caught. But these guys, were allegedly caught because of their coverage.
My bloody
sorry,
word.
and I say allegedly because I'm the one alleging this.
Well, I hear you, and it's part of why they do it is to get notoriety and fame, and there's nothing quite like creating hype than a journalist.
You certainly are creating a whole backstory to my facts, but my fact is just that more than one journalist has gone on to be a serial killer and then was caught because of their coverage of the stories.
Yes, I'd say it's true. It's true.
All right, it is in fact true.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hell of a fact.
Yeah, so in Macedonia, a journalist by the name of Vlado Taneski was caught because he was an actual serial killer. So he wasn't doing it for glory or for fame or for anything else. He was just... The woman he was killing knew his kind of abusive mother, and he started killing them just after his mother died. And he was torturing them and things to death. And then he was covering the stories, and he got caught because in the one story he mentioned that the woman had been tied up with a phone cable, and the cops had never released that particular fact. Yeah. So
wow, that'll make a movie, eh?
Yeah. So he killed 3 women. So not a particularly successful guy before he gave himself away. But that was in Macedonia. And then in Brazil, this is a story. This is a hell of a story. A guy by the name of Wallace Souza. He was a very famous television presenter and politician. And he was, in fact, an elected member of the Legislative Assembly of Amazonas. And he had a very famous, controversial TV program called Canal Livre.
Jeez.
And he was charged with hiring hitmen to kill people on his behalf. The police believe he killed one of those people himself. And they caught him because he was always first on the scene, and he was always, he had the most coverage about it, and he had the most everything else. And they charged him, and he unfortunately died before he could be sentenced. But his son was ultimately sentenced in the killings because he was one of the hitmen.
Good.
So he was ultimately So that's two journalists, one with a TV show.
Shit, we've got nothing for tomorrow's episode. Don't worry, Papa. Look at him, man, he's dead.
I mean, that is
Italian.
the worst Brazilian
That was
accent
more
I've ever
Italian. I
heard in my
apologize
life.
to the Brazilians. He's dead. There's a crime everywhere. Oh, no. What do we do for tomorrow? Don't worry, Papa.
Yeah, so that's two
hell.
journalists who
Good bloody grief,
and to
man.
be fair, one of them was a real serial killer. I bet, if at the serial killer convention, that Macedonian guy, everyone's like, hard breaks, man. You were just trying to do your job. You accidentally let something slip. Rough one.
In the top 10, he gets an honorary mention. Doesn't even make it into the top 10.
No, 3. Yeah, he didn't even really I mean,
What is 3?
this
That's the same as Daisy
but this is
that we know of.
Yeah, but this is what I mean about being flippant about the victims. It's 3's a lot of people. That's 3 families that unfortunately got devastated by this thing. We've got load shedding coming up.
Yes.
Recording this thing in South Africa, load shedding. We've got
Well, I got my multiple choice one.
Go
ready.
for it.
Ready, boom.
let's lash out your multiple
Jack
choice.
the Ripper. Let's end with him, shame. Jack the Ripper. It all happened in a place called Whitechapel.
It did indeed, yeah.
Yeah, Whitechapel. Anyway, and of the 5, what they call canonical victims, those are the 5 they know of, all prostitutes. And the other, they all add up to about 10, maybe 13 prostitutes.
Really?
'Cause
Are
they're
they
not
extras?
sure.
I didn't know they were extras. I
No,
knew
there's
they were,
more others linked, but there's the 5 canonicals. But my multiple choice is...
The 5 canonicals
many?
implies there's people doing fan fiction and adding in victims that aren't canon. They aren't part of the main story. Anyway, but fine.
they're not scripture.
Yeah, no, fine. Okay, sorry. We know we've got about 5 minutes.
So social context, very sad in that part of the England at that time, very poor, working class, a lot of immigration. How many brothels were in Whitechapel at the time? Was it 2, 12, 42, or 62?
I mean, you're basically
'Cause
just
they
asking me to
honed
pick a
in.
number. This has become the lottery, essentially.
Yeah, 2,
I mean,
12,
listen.
42, 62.
I think it would be very interesting if it was 2, and I think that's the number I'm going to go with, because I would imagine that the concept of a brothel in this very poor area was perhaps a bit much, because these women weren't being killed because they were in a safe house. They were being killed because they were out on the street. So I'm thinking there were very few safe houses for prostitutes to have kind of visitations with their customers. And I think that's what led to the kind of ripe scenario where a Jack the Ripper could operate. And I'm going to go with 2.
All right. The answer, ladies and gentlemen, is there were 62 brothels in Whitechapel
opposite.
in
Exact
1888.
opposite.
Place to be on a Saturday night, ladies and gentlemen, straight after the footy. Shame.
Was there footy? I don't think there was.
A bit of cricket. I
Yeah.
don't
No,
know.
footy basically is just one of the services the prostitutes offer.
Shame, but there are a lot. They also think, so 62 brothels, about 1,200 prostitutes were working in Whitechapel. I'm not talking
Yeah,
London.
Whitechapel's small, yeah. It's one suburb, yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. And congratulations, you had me completely fooled. I decided to end this podcast with a bit of a different focus because of this focus on the killers and on the murderers and the making kind of celebrities of these rampant assholes, flaccid dick knobheads, yeah. I thought it would be nice to actually flip the thing and look at the people who are known for criminal profiling, who actually actually quite a lot. They contribute to a lot of these sort of cases and quite often help in catching people. A lot of the big name guys were caught because of criminal profiling. Ted Bundy being one of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 4 names, one of whom is not a famous criminal profiler.
Okay.
Right. The names are Roy Hazelwood, Robert Ressler, Mickey Pistorius, and Saga Noren.
So those first 2, Roy Hazelwood,
Robert Ressler, Mickey Pistorius, and Saga Noren.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the second one.
Robert Ressler.
Yeah, the third one sounds like there was a South African dude who helped out. Yeah, and then there was like a Japanese dude, and the first one had a less crazy name.
Okay,
Hazelwood.
Right. So you're going Robert Ressler.
Yes.
Right. Well, let me break this down for you. Roy Hazelwood is in fact a very famous profiler. He helped catch the Butcher Baker, who was a killer in Anchorage in Alaska who used to kidnap prostitutes and take them out to his hunting cabin and hunt them in the wood.
Good Lord. Just like that movie.
Yeah, he said what they were looking for was an insecure person who would nonetheless be a very good hunter. That's their one area where they felt they were profoundly capable, and he even got him down. But I mean, he even got him down to the fact that he might have a stutter.
Wow.
So, which he landed
Great
up
work.
getting. Yeah, no, very very good. How they do this kind of thing, who knows? And he also helped catch Dennis Rader, who was obviously the BTK killer. So he helped profile him. Mickey Pistorius, you are right. Mickey is in fact a woman.
Wow.
She is known officially as South Africa's first profiler, and she's the one that did the profiling of the ABC killer Moses Sithole.
Wow.
And she said that maybe it was the 2 killers, that they were looking at 2 killers, and she got him down to the fact that she said that he would call the media at some point. She figured he would phone the media, and so that's Mickey Pistorius. And he did. He, in fact, did call the media, and he claimed to be someone, and he talked at length about why he was committing these murders. He said he was angry because a former girlfriend had accused him of rape and sent him to jail for 6 years, so now he was angry at women, and this is why he was doing all these murders. Mickey Pistorius called in a famous FBI profiler to kind of, because she was by herself, and she called in this famous FBI profiler to validate what her version, and he came in, he validated it, and he said, "Yeah, actually, you're probably bang on."
Wow.
And his name was Robert Ressler, and Robert Ressler was famous in his own rights, because he'd profiled the vampire of Sacramento, Richard Chase,
Wow.
where he'd predicted a white male in his 20s who's undernourished, unkempt, and with a history of mental illness.
Good Lord, these jokes are good.
Yeah, and Richard Chase was arrested looking malnourished, disheveled, and in a sweatshirt covered in blood, suffering from schizophrenia. And he was also, he was also the assistant profiler in the search for Moses Sithole. The fake one is, of course, Saga Noren, who is a fictional TV detective from the Swedish TV series Bronbrunn, which became The Bridge. She's amazing. What a great detective. Greatest TV detective ever. But yeah, I thought it would be pretty cool to...
Profilers. Good on you, profilers.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
The more you read into it and you think like the times where they nail these guys, where they get them absolutely spot on. Down to what these guys will look like when they get caught, what their homes will look like, what they, who they're looking for, how they fit in the community, who they, quite often it's clearly become way more than an art and is down to something of a science.
Shucks.
So, yeah.
Well, my
There you go.
word. That
There you
comes to the end of a fascinating episode. Spine tingling, spine chilling.
Spine chilling. Yeah. Now that's enough serial killer for me, like for the rest of my life. I'm not gonna go home and watch a crime procedural. I'll go home and watch, I don't know,
Seinfeld,
The Simpsons
an
or
episode of
something.
Seinfeld.
Yeah, The Simpsons. Yeah.
I'll YouTube Postman Pat. Oh, there we go, Pat.
I'm not
the
sure.
Yorkshire Ripper coming in. It's the Yorkshire Ripper. Hello, would you like a cup of tea? Ooh.
Right, good. I don't think Seinfeld though, because if anybody's ever given me serial killer vibes, it's Jerry Seinfeld.
No, it's more the Kramer.
Oh yeah,
wonderful.
Kramer's definitely. He's got that.
He's got
that crazy edge. You know, if you went on a Tinder date with him, it would be your last. Anyway, there you go.
But thanks for joining us on this episode. And in closing, my final words are... Have you checked the children? That's from a movie. It's from another movie.
And mine are, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends because, you know.
Otherwise, we're going to
die alone. And not because of a serial killer. Anyway, thank you very much. This has been fun. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.